States of America is at a 40-year high. It has affected many people's budgets and has made it difficult to afford many staples such as basic food items for people living with low incomes. On the other hand, many wages are rising and that's also helping to cope with it, but of course it's also causing more inflation. Inflation here in America is currently 8.7%, or 0% if you listen to Biden. But for most of us, we realize it's high. In other countries around the world, they are having similar problems as well. In the UK, the latest inflation rating was a whopping 10.1%. In fact, this announcement today is probably what turned around the futures from being up 200 points last night to flat or losing now, which is bad anyway. And that's what basically caused the euphoria to end, making the market drop today. So far, the only solution for this country and others is to raise interest rates. Of course, we have seen interest rates rising, and now the base rate, which used to be 0, is now 3.25%, making mortgage rates about 7% across the board. It also raised the rates of any adjustable loan that was issued in the past as well. Interest rate increases make it more expensive to buy things on credit, such as houses, cars, and other goods that are often bought with credit. So basically, the concept is to deprive people of resources to buy these items, essentially depriving them of the items themselves, including new housing, cars, whatever. So inflation is running rampant, and the country keeps raising their base interest rates. Well, it looks like the UK, another rate increase is expected. By the way, the Bank of England, similar to the Federal Reserve here, will be raising rates again. However, their current rate is about equal to ours, and it's about 3.25%, just like ours. There are many issues right now in England, and the new Prime Minister tries to stop the runaway train that Boris Johnson and the liberal loonies over there have created. Have you noticed that the leaders of the biggest countries are all loony? Well, nothing compares to the loon we have here right now, that's for sure. Anyway, Liz Truss, the new prime minister, was trying to balance a recession and inflation problem while also balancing a deficit in the country's run pension plans. And because of so many bad decisions and poor leadership before her, she is caught in a loop. Some of these included tax cuts for some and tax increases for others. In France, even, inflation has gotten so bad that the countrymen have taken to the streets in protest. More than 100,000 people took to the streets across France this week to demand higher wages to cope with rising energy bills and broader inflations. To make matters worse, teachers, railway, and health workers all on strike and not reporting to work. They have staged marches in dozens of cities across the country. The protests and strikes started with refinery workers who have been on strike for several weeks. These people are choking fuel supplies nationwide and hobbling the country's refinery system. So now we have all these people on strike while the rest of the country faces freezing because the refineries are closed due to the strikes. Of course, everyone blames Russia and the Ukraine for all of this. Grow up. This is about your country and our country's dependency on oil and materials from other countries. Russia insulated themselves. They aren't hurting from the sanctions. In fact, the sanctions are what's hurting these countries. The war would also end. If the war would also end, we would let them fight it out. Actually, the war would end if we let them fight it out without our interference. Yes, let's take in the refugees. I have no problem with that. From the war as a humanitarian mission, but giving Ukraine weapons and money is just prolonging this mess. Inflation will stop when the rest of the world stops the madness. Oh yeah, and of course when we vote Trump back into office. All of this would have never happened if the vote count was legally processed. Let's all say it together. Let's go, Brandon.